So this is the 3rd of April 2016, and we have a few months yet until the referendum, the vote on United Kingdom's European membership, commonly known as the EU vote referendum, whether we're going to stay in as a country, a group of countries in the European Union, politically speaking, or not be so closely tied with them in that respect, and maybe just have trade agreements and so on. There's lots of stuff you could argue, and I've got another video where I've done the arguments and predicted to 2 decimal places the outcome of this vote, based on a fairly simple premise. The thing I wanted to do in this piece, though, is to talk about a couple of issues, but how should you vote in the EU vote? Well, of course, it's up to the individual to decide, but I'm going to just point out to you, looking at it from different perspectives, maybe gives you a better view of what you should be doing. We've had the Brussels attack a couple of weeks back, and we've had them chasing round Molenbeek looking for suspects, and Schaerbeek and so on in Belgium. And there's a couple of things I should intimate, but the main thing is this: how would ISIS vote in the UK in or out, remain or leave referendum? You say, oh, ISIS don't get a vote. They don't, but who is it we're concerned about? What is it that's on a lot of people's minds, or should be, about the EU referendum? The migrant crisis was a problem that began in the Middle East but has spread throughout Europe, and the contagion has been able to spread. I'm not describing people as contagion, I'm saying if we look at it coldly from above as an issue. And I've explained the Titanic approach to borders. Either you make the outside border of Europe really strong, or you have internal borders that are pretty good on their own. But you can't do away with internal borders, i.e. Schengen, without reinforcing the external borders to compensate. Schengen did neither of these, and therefore is terribly badly designed, right back from 1995 when it was first conceived. So they've failed us, really. But this is the Russians squeezed Europe's balls by bombarding extra, just as things weren't too heavy. They really went in hard in Syria. And of course that meant the migrant crisis got worse. And I think the Russians saw an opportunity to squeeze Europe by the balls and really show what they could do. And then, like that, they just did a handbrake turn. Putin did a handbrake turn and calmly and calculatedly withdrew. And everyone knows it's a withdrawal. It's not a retreat. So he's in control. And Europe's busy applying the ointment, as it were. It really got hurt. So, ISIS, how would ISIS vote? You can talk about your friends, but your enemies can give you the best advice. Not that they would tell you this advice, but if you look at how they act, it tells you what they're thinking. I once had to conduct a court case. It was a tribunal, and there was a lady who was up against, it was a military corps in the UK, and it was a captain, and it was basically her word against his. So as she wasn't that confident about representing herself, I represented her. They had 4 or more in the legal team on the MOD side, Ministry of Defence, and they had a barrister leading the whole thing, and he came up from a place called Kemble Street in London, as though we didn't have enough lawyers in Yorkshire, but apparently it just had to be somebody like this. So he's a barrister, and he came up to do this nothing of a case, really. And in the end, it was him that told me what to do. We had a year leading up to this moment where basically it was her word against the captain's word. And then on the last day, at the last break, just before we went in for the afternoon session, the barrister came up to me and he tried to appear all casual and friendly, and, you know, we understand how the world works, don't we? bring you into the clubby little fold. And he basically offered money in order to not put the captain on the stand. And this alarm, went off in my head. Our enemy really, really doesn't want us to put the captain on the stand. They're even prepared to offer money if we don't put the captain on the stand. I wonder what we should do this afternoon. Right? Proceed, put the captain on the stand, and sure enough, the guy admitted to the thing that in papers, but not under oath, remember, he had never admitted to. And ISIS, how would ISIS like us to vote? ISIS would like us to remain in the EU, where MI5-6 have said you can only go in intelligence terms as well as the weakest, slowest ship. In other words, apart from Germany, France and Britain, there's not much to get out of Europe's intel. We give more than we get, and it's leaking like a sieve is basically 5/6's view, MI5, MI6's view. That's the domestic and foreign branch of the secret agency of the government in the UK. So